It's been a while since we released a video about gadgets from Aliexpress, and we've already accumulated a lot of cool and useful things you like. Let's start with a parcel that I haven't unpacked yet, and I don't even know what's in it. Hey, what are you doing here? Did you come to apologize for bad behavior in the previous video? Do you want us to be friends again? Alright. I'm sorry for kicking you out of the room. Just don't do it again. We'll use a very sharp foil knife that was made a long time ago to open secret packages. There seems to be some kind of a telescope inside. Oh, it's a real mini microscope. I remember that I had ordered it 6 months ago, and now we're going to check out what a $5 microscope can do. First of all, we have to put a small battery in it and turn on the light. Let's test it on a piece of tissue. I'd say the magnification is pretty decent, but the quality is not so good. Let's compare it to a microscope that costs over $1,000. What is it going to show us? Well, the image is of higher quality, and you can even see the separate fibers in the threads of which the fabric is made of. But considering the cost of the small microscope, I believe that its magnification is really good. Best value for the money. Everyone has probably seen such metal rivets for joining metal parts. It is possible to use them only if you have one of these big tools. The rivet is inserted into the tool and then shoved through holes in the metal pieces. After that, it should be compressed with quite a lot of force, so that it eventually spreads on the other side, holding the parts together. But the Chinese have come up with a more automated solution. It is an adapter for an ordinary drill. We just put in the chuck, add a handle to keep the device from rotating, and get such a gun. Insert the rivet into the hole, put 2 metal pieces on it, and press the button. Literally in 2 seconds, the rivet shrinks and falls off from the device, firmly joining those parts. Let's take another close-up look at the process. To remove the rivet rod, you should simply change the drilling direction to reverse. In my opinion, this device requires much less effort and can be operated faster than a conventional one, if you get used to it. The Chinese sent me this thing. It's hard to guess what it is at first glance, but we'll show you the way it works. The kit includes a special hex key to unscrew the lid with a rubber gasket. Then, you need to pour some alcohol into a small beaker. We poured 25 milliliters. And now we put all the liquid inside of our device. Screw the lid on tightly and shake so that the alcohol gets into the copper tubes. Now take a lighter, heat them for a while and ignite the flame. In a few seconds, the fire heats up the tube containing the alcohol, which makes it boil, creating pressure and gases, which burst out to form an even more intense flame. The kit also included a stand that can hold some sort of a container with water or food. We pour a pot of water there, and now we'll check if the candle can boil it. The flame is so strong that we were afraid to burn a hole in the pot. A minute later, bubbles start to appear, and after another 3 minutes, the water is boiling. It's a pretty cool and interesting device. I'm not sure if its main application is cooking though, so if you have any ideas, write them in the comments. When we need to staple several sheets of paper together, we usually use a stationary stapler that secures the paper with those metal staplers. However, the Chinese have invented such a super stapler that doesn't require staples. It doesn't require anything at all. You just insert the paper and press on the handle. Some strange textured indentations appear on the paper, thanks to which the sheets are fastened together quite firmly. Obviously, if you pull hard, they will tear, but the same is happening with an ordinary staple. Still, you can make several joints, after all, they are free, and then everything will hold even tighter. I don't know what the mechanism is or how it works, but it works. Many people have various unwanted objects growing on their skin over time, such as papillomas. And the Chinese have figured how to deal with them with the means of a primitive but efficient technology. This is a kit that consists of 2 strange tools and a set of very small silicone rings. Since we don't have papillomas to test it on, we've made a model out of a stick and plasticine, playing the role of a papilloma, which we will have to remove. To begin with, we need to put a cone-shaped tool through the ring and tighten the ring on its end, so that it stretches and is ready to come off at the right moment. Now put the cone on this strange thing and drop the ring on its base, which immediately cuts off the blood flow to the vessels that feed these tissues, and in a few days it should die and fall off. If you want to see it, we will find someone with this problem and test this Chinese device on him. I love these kinds of kits that are delivered disassembled, and you have to assemble them on your own. It's much more interesting and cheaper because we don't have to pay the Chinese $3 to assemble the gadget. First, we need to poke out all the parts with our fingers. Probably the least expected thing to see in such a kit is a regular syringe, but they play a key role here. Next, we need to mount these piston holders at the end of each syringe. One syringe should be planted and fixed on the big platform. It already looks interesting. Now we assemble the first tower and mount it on a rotating platform. Each tower has a separate syringe that controls it. Repeat everything until we get to the bucket. And at this point, you'll probably start to guess what we get at the end. But you definitely don't know what force will make it work, since there are no batteries or motors. The entire mechanism will be powered by hydraulics. That's why the Chinese have included this tube in the kit. Time to cut it into the required pieces and try it on the syringes. Now we need to prepare the hydraulic fluid. In our case, it's ordinary water with blue food coloring. Draw it into all 4 syringes and mount them on the platform. Now we need to get rid of the air in each tube, thus filling them with water completely. Unfortunately, the tube from China began to tear and leak. We immediately realized that they were not suitable and went to the pharmacy, where we bought a tube from the drip, which perfectly fit the spouts of the syringes after a slight stretching with wire cutters. After mounting the plastic wheels, we got such a hydraulic excavator. Let's see how it works. Pressing on each syringe, it squeezes out the liquid that passes through the tube and pushes the pistons on the opposite syringe, forcing it to drive the mechanism into action. It takes some skill to remember what action each piston is responsible for, but in 10 minutes I got used to it and was able to control it and perform simple actions. I poured some lentils into the bowl and felt like a true excavator operator. This is interesting even for an adult, so I'm sure that any child will be delighted with this toy.